Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of my tutorial video series. The subject of this video is macroeconomics and the topic is inflation. By inflation we mean a rise in general price level, not merely rise in price but rising price continuously. When the general price level in an economy rises continuously, then inflation is said to have set in. Now the term price or increase in price has different connotations in micro and macroeconomics. When we talk about rise in price in microeconomics, we talk about rise in price of a particular commodity at a particular point of time. Say price of petroleum has increased, or price of computer has increased, price of mobile phones have increased, and so on and so forth. But when you talk about price rise in conversation or in narratives of macroeconomics, we talk about rise in general price level or consumer price index, right? That is, the general price level in the economy is continuously increasing, so we can say that the economy is facing inflation. Now, inflation is measured by consumer price index, CPI. When the CPI increases continuously, we say the economy is having inflation. What is CPI? CPI is consumer price index. When this increases continuously, then there is inflation. When the CPI increases continuously, that is consumer price index is increasing continuously, then we say that the economy is experiencing inflation. Now what is CPI? CPI equals to CPN divided by CP sub B. CP sub N divided by CP sub B. Now B means a base year and N means year N. Now what is CPB? This is the total cost of a basket of commodities. The total cost of basket of commodities in the base year. Every country or every economy determines a base year and compares the price index or inflation with the base year for a certain year. And what is CP sub N? This is equal to total cost of a basket of same commodities that were selected in CPB of same commodities. In year N. So when we divide CPN by CPB, we get the consumer price index. And when the consumer price index continuously rises, we say that there is inflation. Inflation can be mainly of three types. One is demand pull inflation, the second one is cost push inflation, and the third is structural inflation. According to causes, inflation can be of three types. One is demand pull, second is cost push, and the third is structural. In this episode, I shall discuss the demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and structural inflation. And we'll draw a diagram for demand pull and cost push inflation. Now come to demand pull inflation first. Demand pull inflation. A country or an economy is said to be facing demand pull inflation where the aggregate demand is such that aggregate supply is not able to meet the demand. So there exists an inflationary gap. And according to Keynes, this inflationary gap is represented by aggregate demand over full employment aggregate supply. That is, it is assumed that full employment exists in the economy and output cannot be increased. So let us draw the diagram. On x-axis we measure aggregate demand and supply. On y-axis we measure price level, that is general price level, right? You can say demand pull inflation, aggregate supply at full employment, cannot meet the aggregate supply. So there is inflationary gap. Aggregate demand is always more than aggregate supply. Why? Because full employment is reached, so aggregate supply cannot be increased. This is aggregate supply curve at full employment. Fy is the full employment output and Fy is the full employment aggregate supply curve, which is a straight line parallel to y-axis. And let the aggregate demand, initial aggregate demand be AD1. So AD1 intersects Fy at say point M. So P1 is the general price level. Correct? AD1 is the initial aggregate demand curve and Fy, F sub y is aggregate supply curve at full employment, and AD1 intersects Fy at point M. So OP1 is the general price level. Now suppose aggregate demand increases from AD1 to AD2. That is, it moves parallelly upward or rightward. But there is no change in aggregate supply. So aggregate supply curve remains the same. And AD2 intersects Fy at say point N. So the price rises to P1. So as aggregate demand increases from AD1 to AD2 without any corresponding increase in aggregate supply, because full employment is already reached and so aggregate supply cannot be increased, the price level increases from OP1 to OP2. Now again, if aggregate demand increases, AD2 shifts to AD3. The full employment supply curve remaining unchanged, AD3 intersects ASFY say at point K. So the price level becomes P3. So there is a continuous rise in prices, continuous rise in general price level from OP1 to OP2 to OP3 as a result of increase in aggregate demand from AD1 to AD2 and then to AD3. the full employment aggregate supply curve remaining unchanged. Correct? Now we shall discuss the cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Now cost push inflation can be of two types. One is wage push and the other is profit push. What is wage push inflation? When the trade unions, by bargaining with the entrepreneurs, increase the wage rate of the workers without any corresponding increase in productivity, aggregate supply cannot be increased. But the cost of production increases because wage rate has increased, so aggregate supply ultimately falls. On the other hand, when the entrepreneur wants to earn more profit, they increase the profit margin. As a result, cost of production again increases without any change in output, so the aggregate supply falls. Aggregate demand remaining unchanged. In case of demand pull inflation, aggregate demand was changing, but in case of cost push inflation, there is no change in aggregate demand, only aggregate supply falls. Let us see it through drawing the diagram. On x-axis we measure aggregate demand and supply, and on y-axis we measure price level. The aggregate supply curve is upward sloping. After reaching full employment, it becomes a straight line parallel to y-axis. Say this is AS1. As a result of either wage push or profit push, this is OFY. OFY is the full employment supply in the economy. Now AS1 is the original supply curve, and let AD1 is the demand curve. This is AD1. So the price level is P1. Correct? Now as a result of either wage push or profit push, the aggregate supply curve shifts leftward because cost of production has increased. So the new aggregate supply curve is this. It is upward sloping, and after reaching full employment, it becomes a straight line parallel to y-axis. Now AS1 intersects AD1, AD, this is not 1, AD, because there is no change in aggregate demand. The price level rises to OP2. Correct? Now again, due to continuous increase in wage rate or continuous increase in profit margin by the entrepreneur, there is continuous increase in cost of production, and the aggregate supply curve again shifts leftward to say this is AS3. So price becomes OP3. Correct? So this is cost push inflation, where there is no change in aggregate demand, but due to either wage push by the trade unions or profit push by the entrepreneurs, the cost of production increases, and as a result of aggregate supply, as a result of this wage push or profit push, the aggregate supply falls. So aggregate supply curve shifts leftward from AS1 to AS2 and then to AS3. This is AS2. Aggregate demand remaining unchanged. AS1 intersects AD, say at point R. AS2 intersects AD, say at point S and AS3 intersects the full employment. After full employment, the curve is becoming straight line parallel to y-axis, and AS3 intersects AD, say at point T. So the new price level is P3. So price is continuously rising. It has become OP2 from OP1, and then it has become OP3 from OP2 as a result of fall in aggregate supply. There is no change in aggregate demand. Now remember, according to free demand, inflation arises due to excess supply of money. In that case, we must remember the Fisher's equation. That is PT equals to MV, or P equals to MV by T, right? Where P is the price level, T is the total amount of transaction of goods and services, or total goods and services produced in the economy, M is the money supply, and V is the velocity of circulation of money. P equals to price level, M equals to money supply, V equals to velocity of circulation of money, and P equals to price level. P equals to total goods and services produced in the economy. Now price level you understand, money supply we understand, and what is velocity of circulation of money? Velocity of circulation of money means the number of times one unit of money changes hands during exchange during a given period, generally 1 year. And T equals to total goods and services produced in the economy. So P equals to MV by T. Now if V and T remain constant as a result of increase in M, that is expansion of money supply, and money supply includes the currency, the coins, and the loans, debts. If money supply increases, then P will increase, the price level will increase, right? So this is demand pull inflation, this is cost push inflation, and the other type is structural inflation. What is structural inflation? Structural inflation. According to the theory of structural inflation, inflation happens in the economy due to huge investment in the economy. When during the economic boom, there is huge investment in the economy, and to support that investment, there is huge supply of money in the economy. That is the expansion of monetary base in the economy. In that case, the general price level continuously increases because people have more purchasing power then, so the demand automatically increases. So this is all about structural inflation, right? So in this video, I have discussed the demand pull inflation, the cost push inflation, and the structural inflation. In case of demand pull inflation, the inflation is said to have set in when the aggregate full employment, aggregate supply cannot meet the aggregate demand, and there exists a gap between aggregate demand and aggregate supply, which is called inflationary gap. And according to Keynes, this is represented by excess demand over full employment aggregate supply. Since there is full employment in the economy, output cannot be increased, so as aggregate demand increases, price level increases. This is all about demand pull inflation. And in case of cost push inflation, there can be two reasons. One is wage push, that is when the trade unions increase the wage rate of workers without corresponding increase in productivity, the cost of production increases, so the aggregate supply falls. Or when the entrepreneurs, in order to earn more profit, they increase the profit margin. As a result, cost of production increases and the aggregate supply falls. Here we have drawn the demand pull inflation graph, and here this is cost push inflation graph. This is ASFY is a full employment supply curve which is straight line parallel to y-axis. As aggregate demand increases from 81 to 82 and then to 83, without any change in the aggregate supply curve, the price level increases from OP1 to OP2 to OP3. This is OP1 and this is OP2. Correct? And in case of cost push inflation, there is no change in aggregate demand. Aggregate demand remains as it is, but aggregate supply curves shifts upward, that is aggregate supply falls as a result of either wage push or cost push. And since aggregate demand and aggregate supply curve intersects at here, then here, then here at R, when the AS1 is the aggregate supply curve, so price is OP1, it intersects at point S when the AS2 is the aggregate supply curve, and at point T, and then price is P2, and T is the point of intersection between AD and AS3. So price level is P3. So price level is continuously increasing from OP1 to OP2 and to OP3. And structural inflation is the inflation that happens due to huge investment. When there is huge investment in the economy, generally in case of economic boom in the economy, the supply of money increases, as supply of money increases, the purchasing power of the people increases, so the inflation sets in. Correct? So this is all about inflation. I think this is enough for this video. I hope this is well understood by you. Still, should you have any doubt in your mind, if you have any query in your mind, please feel comfortable to let me know through the comment section. I shall be more than glad to reply to all your relevant queries and doubts. If you think this video has benefited you, then please do share the video with your friends and brothers and sisters so that they can also derive benefit by watching this video. And I would request to like and subscribe my channel so that I can provide to you more meaningful and useful videos. And finally, thank you very much for watching this video. Stay well and goodbye.